It's such a beautiful song by Townes Van Zandt. It's been covered by lots of people, and he recorded at least 2 well-known versions of it. On his 1972 album, The Late Great Townes Van Zandt, the version that I'm covering with a capo on the 4th fret, he's playing as if in G, he's actually playing in B. And then in the early 90s, he did a version on Rearview Mirror with a capo on the 5th fret, so it's actually in C. And that version is pretty similar, of course, it's the same song, but it's a lot faster. The earlier version's about 150, 152 beats per minute, and then the later version's somewhere up in the 180s. It's a single 9-bar structure that's good for the intro and the verses and the instrumental sections, and it plays something like 16 times through, and that's really all there is. So let's carve out the chords straight away, and then we'll get on and look at all the picking, and that's going to add a lot of detail. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, about there. If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me? So 5 bars of G and then a single bar of C. Then we get to D7 or D or something like that. There's a bit of both in there, and then we're back to G. Would you come to me and ease my pain? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. If you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the seas for to ease your pain. And as I say, it just goes round and round like that. So that's the chords looked at. Let's get on and sort out the picking. It's essentially a Travis picking pattern, and we have on the chord of G, and most of the song you're on G, this thumb moving between 6 and 4. And the archetype for this is a straightforward pattern where we're alternating these thumb notes with fingers playing the 2nd and 3rd strings like this. The thumb's going to pick the bottom string, and the 2nd finger is going to then pick the 2nd string. Now we come up to the 4th string with the thumb, and then the 1st finger picks the 3rd string. So thumb on 6, 2nd finger on 2, thumb on 4, 1st finger on 3. And actually that pattern only happens in the very last bar, because we've got all sorts of other things going on. I mean, I've made my transcription from the very first 9 bars, which is half of the intro, and in that we just play that pattern in its purest form just in the very last bar. But that's going to stand you in pretty good stead, because the thumb is going to do that throughout. So you want to get under your fingers, and unless that feels natural, the next bit's going to be maybe a challenge too far. But let's get on and look at what actually happens. Okay, let's work our way slowly through the picking, and if I play you what happens in the first 4 bars straight away, you'll see that what's going on is really he's moving that thumb as you'd expect from 6 to 4, but then he's playing the vocal melody on top, and we get lots of hammer on here onto the 1st fret of the 2nd string from the open 2nd string. So here's the 1st bar, and then that note comes off again. In the 2nd bar, we get the pattern pretty much as you'd expect it for the first half. And then again we have that hammer on, and right at the end of the bar we move up to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. We hold that note into the 3rd bar, and slightly deviously we get that hammer on again, but we bring the finger down on the 4th beat, so we begin the hammer on 3 and. Okay, in bar 4 it's much like bar 2, and we get that hammer on again beginning on beat 3. So the whole of the first 4 bars. In bar 5 we don't anticipate that 3rd fret note, we just start on the beat. finally we get the top string. And at the end of that bar we end up on the first fret of the second string, and that anticipates the new chord. It's a little tricky to follow. I mean, I find that quite difficult to do at a slow tempo. You've got almost too much time to think. But the real difference here is that the thumb is now moving between the 5th and 3rd strings. On the 3rd beat, there's a hammer-on from the open 4th string to the 2nd fret. But at the same time, we're moving that 1st finger off from the 2nd string. So really it's a hammer-on the 4th string and a pull-off on the 2nd string at the same time. Don't make too much of it, you're just moving that 1st finger off as you hammer on that 2nd finger. Anyway, bars 5 and 6 again. And then we end up with something like this. I mean, it's a bit different, not every time, but he quite often changes this. That's how I'm playing that. I'm starting actually with a D7. Hammering on. My thumb is now between the 4th and 3rd strings, and I'm hammering onto the 2nd string with my 1st finger, moving my little finger up onto the 3rd fret again, to the open top string, and actually the very end of that bar, I reckon he moves on to G there. So he's anticipating the G by a beat. And then finally, in that last bar, we actually get the straight Travis picking pattern. Whole thing maybe slowly from the top. I think I actually find this easier to play accurately if I'm singing the melody on top, because it helps to place those syncopated notes. I mean, I can't promise I'll get exactly what he does on the original, but something like maybe, if I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me and ease my pain? I would come to you, I would swim the seas for to ease your pain. Something like that. On this version he begins with that. Actually it's the first 2 beats of the melody. If I need... So that's on the original. Right at the beginning. It's an intro there, so it's instrumental, but it's like that. That's how it begins. And actually, if you were playing this without the instrumental and just singing, if I need, you'd probably do that. All right. Well, look, that was that was quite the journey. I'm going to have a playthrough, the whole thing, which is twice through the 9-bar sequence for the intro, 4 times through for the various verses, 4 times through, or twice through I think, for the instrumental. And then there's the 5th and 6th verse, then we have the 1st and 2nd verse again, and then we get 4 times through the sequence as an instrumental as it fades at the end. Okay, wish me luck. Thanks ever so much for watching, and hopefully see you on the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.